Hi, I'm Stephanie Lester, and today we're creating the 2D needle felted robin in a hoop from the Crafty Kit Company. Hi everybody, and welcome to the needle felting workshop. As you know, today we're going to be needle felting the 2D robin in a hoop from the Crafty Kit Company. Now, the way we like to run these workshops is more of a felt along rather than a tutorial, so we all do it together, and I try to do it at a nice even pace. But if you want to go a bit faster, obviously you can just fast forward and go at your own pace that way, or you can, if you need to go slower, you can easily stop and re-go over some points to make sure you've got the technique that I'm explaining. Either way, it's completely up to you. Okay, if you've got any questions, then please do write your questions either below in the comments for the YouTube video on the channel, or you can join the Crafty Kit Company needle felting group on Facebook, or my group, Two Teaks Tips and Tutorials on Facebook. Either way, come in there and ask your questions. Okay, so the way we'll do it is most of this will be done from an overhead camera, so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and I'll explain as I go, and then I'll come back at the end just to say goodbye. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so here we are at the demo table. I've got everything out of the kit on here. Got my cup of coffee there, very important. And here's what we will be creating. This is that wonderful little robin with a bit of snow on his little branch. Absolutely gorgeous. This also gives me the opportunity, hopefully, to just show you the so can we see that, how it is just slightly raised. Can you, hopefully you can see that it's not like a perfectly flat picture. So whilst we will be stabbing very lightly, there will still be a slight raised presence. Yeah, so it's 2D, but it's slightly in relief, I suppose that's the phrase we're looking for, isn't it? And the little bits of snow and things, which makes it even more delightful. And it's a little hoop, so I'm just going to keep that there for inspiration. And obviously that's the little picture that we've got on the front here of exactly the same little robin in a hoop. So we're going to be following these instructions. I will have them on hand here, so we can make sure we are going through it all even together, including putting it in the hoop and tying it all together with the back. So let me just show you the back. So as you can see on the back, you still get an element of the wool coming through, but it's not like hugely deep. It really is just yes, tickling it in, and then we get this lovely neat little effect on the back once we tie it all together. Beautiful. Okay, so let's just check we've got everything in our kit. So we've got all our colours. We've got our white, our black, our brown, grey, and our all important red. We've got our needle and thread. We have our felting pad, our felt that we're going to be putting our picture on, our hoop, and our needles. So let's put the colours just to the left so they're ready for us to pick off. I put my hoop over here, which I will use in a second just to show you how you check that your picture or the little robin is in the right place. Okay, so let me just find my little cutout. Here he is. Okay, so I assumed you wouldn't want to watch me waste time cutting out the little robin, but basically decide which way you want your robin to be. Obviously, on the example we have here, we're using the little robin looking to the left. It might be you've got two kits and you would like to do one to the left and one to the right, so you've got both little pictures there for you to choose from. So I've cut out the top one so that I can then draw that onto the felt, which is going to be our lovely blue background. Okay, so let's pop our instructions up there. Bring our hoop back so that you will see. Okay, so what I have done now, I will also state that I haven't ironed this, and I've not ironed it for a reason, just in case somebody's been given this at Christmas and you are somewhere where you don't have an iron and you want to do it straight off the bat. So I personally think that once we've actually done all our felting in here and we put it in the frame, that will just pull it taut enough to take all of those creases out, plus we'll do an element of pulling it out anyway. So that's why I've not done that today. Obviously, if you're very close to an iron and you want to make absolutely sure that's nice and flat, off you go. But that's just my little thing today, to only use what I have in the kit. Right. Okay, so where do you place your robins? Well, basically, the ideal is to have your little picture in the middle. So I have very slightly got mine off to the right, have I? Let me see where that actually, yeah. So what I have done is put that bit right in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to draw the branch. In fact, I've drawn a little bit of a branch underneath there, but that does actually come out that way. So yeah, there you go. It will be central once I extend that out there. You see, come out there. Okay, but I just got ahead of myself. Once again, just I thought you wouldn't want to watch me do the drawing, but that's what I've done. I've put my hoop central, and then I've put my little robin in there, and then I've drawn around that. Added a few little squiggles just to show where the branch will go, and then when I've taken off the robin, I've just highlighted where the wing will be, where the red will be, just to give me an idea. It is just an idea, because as you start, you can easily play around with it. The lines aren't going to show because obviously we're going to be felting over it. Okay, so I shall put my little cutout over there, put my little hoop, and now I'm going to put my mat underneath my robin. And the first colour we are going to start with is the underbelly and the grey. Now, needles. We have 3 needles. We always suggest that you use 1 needle by itself and 2 needles taped together. And these 2 have been playing little games with me, because I like to get them so that they're just crossing like that, 2 together, just so that if you want to do a lot a bit faster, a little area a bit faster, then you've got your 2 needles to actually do that. If you're a little bit unsure and you want to go slower, just use the 1 needle. That's all you need to do. But we really are going to be just just get out this little bit of veg matter. We're going to be tickling the wool into the felt. So we won't be going mad, and we can go as fast or as slow as we want. The way to do this is to add a little bit at a time and layer it up, because then you can see the colours growing. And also on this example, hopefully you can see, if I just bring it up a little bit closer, you can see how this little bit of red has gone over the little bit of grey, so it just gives it that bit of blending, yeah, rather than hard and fast stopping. Okay, there we go, lovely. Right, so let's get started. So it's this little underbelly here that we're going to do grey. We don't need to be really neat apart from our edge here, but the rest of it, because we're going to be putting red over, coming over it, and we're going to have a wing coming over that way, so it's just this edge we need to be careful with, but the rest of it we are just layering on. So to start with, I'm just going to take a very, very small piece. I've just realised, there you go, that light makes it a bit better, doesn't it? Perhaps you can see a bit better now. Okay, so we can lay that where that's going, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stab along the edge just so that the wool creates that line, and I really am just tapping in that top bit. Can you see I'm just tapping up to that top bit here. I will also start, my nails are getting better and better, but I was dyeing some wool. It's 3 days ago now, and I've still got the remnants still in my fingers. Yes, I did use gloves, as my mother said to me. Why didn't you use gloves? I did use gloves, but then there's always that time you take them off and then you grab and you think, oh no, I've grabbed, and so anyway, it went everywhere on my fingers. So apologies. Carrying on again. As I say, I do get quite sidetracked, so let's make sure we're in the middle here. Okay, lovely. Let's just stab lightly. I'm not doing it any more than just tapping it in that edge. You know, if it doesn't take the first time, I shall just tap a little bit more. Make sure where I'm going. Make sure my little line is up to there. There we go. I can do it up to there. I've kind of put where the feet are coming underneath, and I can see in the little picture that the bit immediately above the legs is still grey. So, and I'm just lightly tapping, tickling, tapping. And speed it up a little bit, but just with my single needle. Okay, along that edge and a little bit into the felt. I can obviously hear it tapping into the foam pad because it's near enough impossible to not obviously tap into the pad a little bit. But I'm trying desperately not to really harsh. If you notice, I'm doing it slightly at an angle. So here's rule number 1 with regards to the needles. Whatever angle you go in at, make sure you come out at. So it's fine if you're going up and down on top. I'm just doing it sideways just to try and avoid the big stab into the mat. But if you find it easier to tap from the top and down, you do that. Just make sure every now and then you lift up from behind to make sure you've not really attached it to the mat. If you keep lift it up as you go, it'll be fine. If you wait to the end, it might be a little bit trickier. Okay, so I'm just slightly doing it at an angle, and I'm just making sure I'm going in and out at the same angle. Okay, there we go. Just get that first bit of colour on. Sometimes if I want to grab hold of a little bit of wool, which is a little bit stray, I just twirl my needle around to grab it up, to take it down. Okay, and that sometimes just does the little bit that I need. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit more. It's amazing really, isn't it, that small piece. I mean, I know it's not completely covered up the blue background yet, but that tiniest bit of wool, it's amazing how much it does actually cover. There we go. So we're going to get a little bit more and put it on top. So I've got a teeny bit more here. I'm just going to put round there again. Once again, just tap it into that edge, which makes sure I don't go over the edge. Because that's one edge that it's quite nice to have. Not sharp, because it's, you know, we don't, it's still feathers, but a much sharper edge than it is anywhere else. There we go. Just tapping, tickling, whichever way you prefer to think of it. Okay. The lovely thing about the robin in a hoop is, especially, you know, we obviously love robins at Christmas, and the hoop kind of lends itself to being a really lovely little Christmas decoration. I mean, you could hang it from the tree or just hang it in the window, but either way. Okay, now let's just have a little tap with our 2 needles just to see the difference. Now that you're starting, just tap a little bit with your 2 needles. Now that you've got it in its place, tap tap rather than stabbing, which is how I think of my 3D needle felting. Just see how that feels. Lift up. See how I haven't brought too much through. Okay. And you decide whether you want to carry on with your 2 or whether you prefer staying with the 1. It's all personal choice. I'm gonna just go back to my 1 needle, tap a bit more in. You can see I need to do a little bit more up there. Okay. Just need to do a little bit up, which will be just underneath that wing, where that wing is going to come. I can go a little bit over it because the wing's going to be on top of it, but I do need to make sure I take some up there. Yeah, just taking it up into that area there. Once again, just do my little twirly there, make sure I've got hold of it. I can still see some of the blue through, so I am going to still add more. Obviously, it depends on yours, whether you've managed to cover yours in nicely already. I've still got quite a bit of blue coming through, so let me just take a little bit more, and I'm going to keep laying it down in that same direction because obviously they are feathers and they would all be running in that direction rather than that way. They'd be running down that way, so it just helps to give that illusion. There you go. Nice. Layering. And also what's quite nice about the bird is obviously if you do have a few fibres sticking up, that's just helping with the feathering feel to your bird. Let's just hold that down a little bit, tap that in. Just check the lighting here. Oh, even brighter. Not sure it makes much of a difference, but we'll just try that. There we go. So again, just stabbing down in the direction that the feathers would go. Make sure I lift it up. Lovely. And I'm going to just do one more bit down that edge, just to be sure. Okay. Starting to build up nicely. Now the nice thing about this is we can continue on to our next colour, and if we need to come back and add to this, we can do. Okay, let's get on with the next colour, which is going to be that gorgeous red. Absolutely lovely. So we are going to place our red in our little breast area here. So we're going to concentrate on the chest area, avoiding the little beak. Then we'll put our brown over the top here and add a little bit more red up here. So to initially, let's take a little piece to start with again. We're going to just, and I'm going to once again tack a little line down the outside. There we go. And then layer a little bit on the inside of that. Let's just make sure we bring a little bit tufting down onto the grey brown on the bottom. Okay, just tickle it on again. Now eventually the red's going to come all the way up here where we've drawn the line, so just leave that there. Okay, next thin little layer, once again, let me take it down the line. It's a nice place to anchor it down that line, because we know we need a nice stronger line down there. It's a good place to felt from. There we go. And say, making sure I don't go too much into the beak, although obviously we will lay the beak on top of any stray red, but the less stray we have, the less we have to cover up. It's a lovely orangey red that we have here, just like our little robins have. Okay, now you may think that you've been stabbing it in and it's going to be a little bit flat, but the moment you pop it off of the mat, it will pop up. I'll show you in a sec, unless you've already discovered that yourself. Right, I need to just put a little bit more out there because he does have a nice little belly, doesn't he? So I want to make sure that that is a good strong line there. A fat little robin is always a joy to see. Okay. Just tickling a bit more. So I'm leaving those bits at the moment just because I didn't want to put them too much into that beak area. And I can move it over to the right. Okay, there we go. That's a lovely little splurge. So I am now just going to lift it off. You can see still got a little bit of those underneath, and it just pops it up so it's just in that nice light relief. Now if we look at our little robin drawing that we've got, you can see we have quite a lot of red over here around that wing, so I can just bring that over there into that area. See, light little tickle. Okay, now I'm just going to lightly go over the top of that beak area. Put a little bit of red there before adding the brown. There we go, just get some red in there. I'll get a little bit into that corner, even though I will end up putting a little bit over the top of the brown, just to have that blend in as well, but it's quite nice to have a bit on there first. And we can play with where the brown meets the red. It is painting with wool, basically. You are layering on colours and blending colours whilst in place. Now I'm just thinking here, I just wanted to add a little bit more down there, make it a bit brighter. Okay. So we can add to that in a minute. Let's just lift that up so it pops again. Okay, so let's start adding our brown so we get that line over the head and down the back. I'm just going to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to turn mine upside down just so that I can do a nice felt along that line. As I say, same process for all the others. I like to stab along the line with that colour because then it gives me, basically I can paint between the lines then. Go up to that red. Just tacking it down so it's nice and easy for me to see, rather than the light grey colour, which obviously quite rightly disappear very quickly. There we go. Make sure my mat is underneath. Lovely. Just bring it as the length does come down here. Bring it down into the tail. It ends about there. Okay. Now I can just tap up and fill in. And I'm turning back up the right way. And just start to fill in the area above the wing and above the red. I can just stab into the area and the wool should follow. So still using my single needle. I feel like, certainly with the small areas, for me, I feel like I have more control over where I'm placing my wool. There we go. So that's down the back. Just tickled that in, not too much. Okay, now I think if I look at my, I've got like a little shape, isn't it, which goes down and over, so I will add a bit more red to that in a bit. I just need to bring that brown down a little bit so I get a tiny bit in there. To make sure we bring that down and there, and then we can move I'm just doing it really, really lightly with my needle, being careful not to bend the needle. Okay. And add a bit more red to emphasize that as we go. But at the moment, let's take the little stray white hair. Okay, now we want to give that little wing area a look. Shall we do the tail first or shall we do the wing? Let's do the tail. Okay, let's do our tail. So we have, I can just about see, if I put that on top, I've got this bit up here and then the tail coming down. So I can just see my little tail coming down. So I shall fill in that area and around there. Once again, stabbing down the line. Obviously, you do not have to follow this picture to a T. If you would like it looking slightly differently, you know, with this, sometimes they have their tail up, don't they? If you want to do that, then by all means change it. Someone who came up to me at one of the shows was saying that she was going to felt the robin onto a hat. She just bought herself a felt hat, and rather than felting the robin actually onto the blue, she was going to felt it directly onto the woolen hat, which obviously worked perfectly because it was a wool hat. Now if she had got a hat which wasn't wool and therefore it would be difficult to actually felt into it, I would have suggested that she did what we're doing now, and then she could actually cut it out and stitch it on, which would be nice, which you obviously could still do with your piece here if you didn't want to put it into a hoop. So I'm just making sure. I'm going to put my little thing over so I can check. Yes, come down a little bit further. Okay, just stabbing nicely to get that little detail there, and so I just spin around the little stray pieces, pick them up and tap them in. There we go. Just the bit that I've got left over there, just tap that in further up. Tickling it on. Okay. There we go. So I want to make sure I've got this little bit up there, that little detail up there, so that will be that way. So what I'm going to do is put that piece across there like that. Make sure he comes, yes it is that little bit there, I did think it might be that bit there. tap that in. And then join that to there. Once again, just stabbing along my line. It's almost like sketching, isn't it? But with a needle and wool. Need to flesh that out a little bit, but let's get the main line in first. Okay, leave those bits loose for a moment because I'm probably going to tuck those back in, but just make sure that's across back there. Around the edge. Okay, just paying heed to where that will come around there. Just give a little twirl. Bring those in. Okay. Still trying to make sure, obviously we cover up the blue background. So whenever I see, obviously I've got quite a bit of blue there, but I'm going to do the wing detail there. Right. If at all you know struggle with the ends and the flicking around and putting them in, you can just chop them off with your scissors. But I always try and put them in if I can. My little challenge to myself. There we go, down that line again. Right, I want to strengthen that bottom line a little bit. As you can probably tell now, you have got quite enough wool to do not just this. So once you have in fact done one onto this piece of wool, you could find other fabrics that you could felt onto, which, whilst wool is the perfect material to felt into, because you are only tapping it onto the surface, you can use other fabrics, and some are better than others to hold on to the wool. So it's worth having a little play around with some wool and seeing what works with you. But if you have got something like a hat or even a scarf that you would like to, you know, felt a little robin onto, use the extras you've got. Or as I say, you could felt onto a piece of fabric if you don't want to do it straight onto the scarf or hat, and do it onto a piece of fabric, cut it out and then add it. Or you could just do it as a badge, couldn't you? Do it as a little badge, bearing in mind you know, you could make the little shape smaller. It doesn't have to be this size if you wanted a smaller one. Okay, right, now next let's get this wing shape. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to curve it around so that I've got that shape, and put that on so that we've got that wing look. I mean, we are still stabbing it in, but hopefully the fibres and the fact that they're curling round will just slightly show to give that impression of the wing. We will in a moment put some red, which will just sort of flick over it a bit, just so that it's not quite such a sharp start to it. But there we go. And then just bring that up in the same angle as that bit there, but just a little bit higher. There we go, do my little twirly. Probably the biggest piece I've added all at once, isn't it, that time around, to get that wing on there. And once again, it feels like I'm stabbing it in, and I'm going to pop it up in a minute. And just there we go. Tickle it down. Now, very quickly, we've got our shape, haven't we? Now, what I might want to do is just make that red, because you know he is a robin redbreast. So that's just, I want to make that a little bit more emphasised above where the eye is going to go, and then I'm just going to lay a little bit over where that line for the wing starts. So to start with, let's take that up there. Okay, just so I'm playing here with my paint, as it were, just lightly stabbing it where I would like it to go, and then check on it and think, yes, I like that, and then just tickle it a bit more so that it's a bit more substantially in. Okay, and just, as I say, bringing it over and down slightly onto the grey, just a few loose pieces, just so that it's blending like it would do. The red feathers blending in with the grey. Now let's have a little look here. Okay, I feel like my grey bit here is a little bit blue. I don't know if you can see. Can you see there? But you still see a bit of blue there. So I'm just going to take a little piece of my grey and fill that in. There we go, making care not to go too far, because that wing would most definitely be on top of it. But I just don't want the blue to show through. Okay. A little bit more just up that line there. Once again, this is the bit that you can fiddle with to your heart's content. There's no right or wrong way to this. This is just how you want yours to look. And if you want to, you know, make your grey lighter or your brown up here lighter, you can mix grey and brown, you can mix white and grey. Let me just briefly show you. If you wanted to take a bit of the brown. So if you've got a bit of the brown and you've got a bit of the grey, and you literally just pour them continually together. This is how you mix the colours. Okay, so you've immediately got a lighter. So if you wanted to, for instance, let's just say in this case, let's just check where our little, if I wanted to have a bit of sunshine on his back, I might want it to be a little bit lighter. Yes, there it is. So I could use a bit of this blended grey and brown to show that. Here we go. Literally just popping it on the top so that it gives the appearance of some light reflecting on the top. Let's turn it. I always like to work from this there we go. Just giving it that little effect there. Round to the front. Try and grab one of those loose bits. Yeah, so you see how you can just join, mix colours together and blend in. There we go. Just to give that little effect. Okay, you may not be able to see. Can you just see that? I think you can just about see that. Yeah, with that bit of light on top. Okay, so that's the sort of thing you can do. Okay, right, we're going to add the beak and the eye, which is black. Okay, so the beak. Here we go. I think the best way to get a pointy end is to take your small piece of fluff at wherever the tip is and stab the middle into wherever the tip of your beak is. Okay, and then bring it back in and fill in the space. Once again, I'm going to turn it around slightly. Okay, up to there. I need to bring a bit more out just to make sure. We can adjust as we go. Okay, so it goes in to that. Let's have a little look and just see how big that is and whether we need to make it pointier or... Okay. Just going to make sure he is. So they don't have huge beaks. There we go, just tap the rest of that. And that was the slightest piece, wasn't it, of black that we took there. Desperate not to get my head in the way. Okay, so let's make sure we have still got our distinctive line of red there above, and there we have our little beak. Excellent. Now we need to just decide where our eye is going to go. Now if we look at our little, I think if we look at our little example here, it's just in that area there, isn't it, which looks quite nice. And then again, if we look here, it is just under that there. Okay, so I'm going to just stab a little bit into that area so that I can see if that would look good. Can you just about see where I've stabbed in there? Okay, yeah, let's get, I've got a little piece of black over here. You really do need the smallest piece because we are going to roll it up into a ball and then add it as the eye. So in your fingers, roll it up into a ball. Okay, and then we're going to pop it down. Now I am going underneath the whole time with this. I'm not stabbing through the top, I'm always taking it down and underneath. So it's almost like the sides, taking the sides down and underneath. So that way I can shape it on how it's attaching to the cloth. Now then, let's have a little look. I quite like that. If I think it's a little big, then I'll just bring it in from the edge. There we go. And so we can always add a little bit more red around it if we think it needs it. Okay. In fact, I will just pick up a teeny weeny bit of red. Okay. I think I'm still at the side rather than putting my head in, aren't I? Just to emphasize. Now, you can help to emphasize this eye with a little bit of white underneath, because if you look at a robin, picture of a wild robin, I think you'll find they have grey and white around their eyes, so it's completely up to you. If you want your little eye to pop a little bit more, then you can add little bits of colour to help do that. I'm just adding the red around just so that the eye wasn't popping out quite so much. And basically an excuse to use the red. Right, now I need to add the little bit of life, as I call it, the little white of the eye. I always say that the pictures and creatures don't come alive until you've added those in. Okay, right. Once again, really small piece into a little ball. Now, this time I am going to just stab down the centre because I want it to be small. A bit of red coming in there. Off you go. There we go. So, just going to make him a little bit more defined around the eye. There we go. And there he is with his little eye. Very cute. Very cute. And if I make sure that dips in a little bit there, that helps to emphasize his big round. There we go. Lovely. Gorgeous. So now then, we need to start adding our details, like our legs, onto our branch. Now I know my branch is going to come out a bit wider than that, but let's get some. Basically we're going to put a thin strip of black and a thin strip of brown to do the legs. So let's start with the thin strip of black. If you've not already drawn yours on, draw yours on now, and then I'm going to basically redraw with my piece of black just down to where it joins the branch. There we go, joins the branch there. Not too worried about that because the branch will overlap it anyway. Just tuck it in there. Okay, and then another little bit. Now this other one comes down here. And then let's add some brown on top, just to give it that little bit of depth. Too much on, put it off. Thin little legs, nothing too substantial here, but the brown and the black just gives that little bit of depth to the colourings, basically. Probably going to have to pull some off here, but we can easily do that, or if we need to, as I said before, nothing wrong with using your scissors. Let's see if we can pull enough off there. One leg is darker than the other, but then that probably would be true, wouldn't it? Because one's might be glinting in that sunshine and the other bit not. There we go. And I will just neaten that up with my little scissors. There you go. You will notice that I constantly play around with the eye. I am always obsessed with the eyes. Right, now then, we are onto the branch. So let's just double check. Here. So we have the ability to come out to here, don't we, with our branch. Oh, and a little red. A little red. So I am going to just highlight where that would come to, because I didn't draw it all the way out there. Okay. That was the thin branch, wasn't it, coming out? Once again, you may draw your branch however you like. So just using the brown wool, draw a bit on the branch. So that we're going to draw the brown, then we're going to underline it with the black, and then we'll put the snow on top. Of course, after we've added the cherries. Cherries? Berries. Cherries? Not quite sure which country I think I'm in at Christmas. There we go. Let's keep that nice and light. And obviously lifting up so that I get to the other end of the branch, down here. Just tapping it in. Can I just double check my sizing here? There we go. So it's got that kind of going across, which is fine. And now I'm just going to make it a bit bibbly-bobbly, and then we have one branch there and one branch coming out there. Okay. So this really is just making it look as close to a branch as you can, which means it won't be that even. So let's start underneath our little robin's legs. Okay. As I say, we're going to underline it with black because the underside will be in shadow. And then the snow on top. You don't need to put very much at the end there because that's a very thin part of the branch that we'll add the berries to. bring that back down. Lovely. Got a few loose bits here. So let's just make this a little bit fuller before we add the black underneath. So we can always come back and add a bit more brown on top. We can keep adding. So we'll make this slightly thicker out this end. Because presumably this is the bit which is going to join the tree that we can't see. Once again, just tapping away. Right, let's get some black detail underneath, because I think actually that bit should be a bit bulkier first. A little bit of the branch there should be a little bit bulkier. Just to give it a bit of interest. There we go. Okay. Now, we really are going to just put some black underneath to signify the shading. So it's not meant to have a huge impact, it just gives that, once again, a little bit impression of a 3D picture with a bit of shading on the bottom. For the underside. Okay. Now we will put a little bit up here as well, but I just want to do a little bit of tree off that way first. So just a little bit to start with, and then most of it will be dark, because this is under the tree and under the bird, is it? So quite in shadow. There we go. It's a little bit there, and then let's just put a bit of black underneath and carry it on to what would be an in shadow bit of branch. And then going to bring a little bit of branch under here. Slightly at an angle up, slightly at an angle down. Just letting that fall where it falls. There we go, stab that into place. And I'm going to just get some of the black, just to once again emphasize that. And under there. Okay. Okay, so we kind of have our branch, and we are going to give it a little bit of black up that end, and then we're ready to add our berries, not our cherries, our berries. Okay, so berries it is. So how do we make our berries? This is where we roll up lots of pieces of red wool, so literally into a ball. And you can have bigger ones and smaller ones. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But this will give it that nice little colourful pop on those branches. And then the final highlights of the white. On the branches, and obviously the falling snow. Okay, let's just show a few of these being added. Okay, so we are going to start down here on this one. So that's quite a nice big one, isn't it? So the big one would be at the front. So once again, like the eye, we are just going to stab around the edge of the ball, which will also mean they will stand out a bit, which will be quite nice for berries. Okay, so there we go, just stabbing around the outside underneath, and if I think, oh yeah, just make him a little bit smaller, then I can go in the middle. But there we go, underneath, underneath, underneath. And then we have a nice little berry. Okay, and then we can have all different sized berries around that. Arranged wherever. So I'm just going to make him a little bit smaller. He probably is just a little bit too big. There you go. And we'll check in a minute that I'm not gone outside of my zone for my embroidery hoop. Let's see exactly where we are. So that's going to be done there. Oh, that's fine, isn't it? And then we've got snow falling. Lovely. Sort of come to the end of my little ones that I've done, so we can just show the adding of some snow, and then we can all Okay, so let me finish the rest of my dots and then we'll do it together, the next bit. That's it. Lovely. So as we can see, well, I add my little berries. So now we are going to add the snow to the top of the branches and top of the berries and the snow falling. So what do we need to do? We just need to grab ourselves actually a very small piece of fluff. So let's start from the right hand side on top of our branch on this side, and we just take a nice small piece and once again just stab along where we'd like this to be, tickling it in. Doesn't matter if a bit falls down the branch here, because remember this is just where the snow is falling. on our branch. So there wouldn't be any uniformity other than building up of snow in one place. Okay, so let's just put a little bit onto the branch a little bit more, because obviously there wouldn't be a gap between the top of the branch and the snow. So make sure there's no blue showing through there. Lovely. And bring it along a little bit. Okay, and then I am just going to copy our picture here. A little bit here. Closer to our little robin. Been tapped in place there. Okay, and then let's move along to our branch here. We have a little bit of a pile. I'm just going to do the little triangle shape that we have here. Okay, and then along to the end of the branch. Where we will have some on top of the berries. Okay, now obviously you can pile your snow up as much as you would like and make it snowier, more or less. So let's put some onto the berries. Over the top. So just take our little bits around. Really do just need little bits of wool for this. I think the less is more is definitely applicable when it comes to adding snow detail. Unless of course you really want it to stand off the felt, then by all means. Adding little bits in here. By adding small amounts, you can always add more to it. if you decide you haven't put quite enough on. And you can now just add away just tidying that little bit up. So remember to pop it off the foam backing to see it pop up, just in case you need to put it down a bit more. There we go. Just adding that nice bit of snow. Who doesn't love a bit of snow? And then once you've added as much snow as you want to, the settled snow I should say, once we've added all the settled snow as much as you want, we need to add the falling snow, and once again we're just going to roll up little balls of the white like we did the red and add them strategically falling. Which we will, and once again that will really be wherever you want to add them, whether you want to have it at all. You might just want your little scene to be after the snow has fallen rather than during the snow. There we go. Okay, pull that off. So one last little area to go down here. Just add a few pieces. Then we will add our last little pieces there. Okay, I think I am ready to add my snow falling. So once again, let's have a quick look and see. Okay, there we go, right to the edge. Lovely. Like that. I'm going to move him up a little bit and see that my snow can go around here. So let me put a little bubbles. So I've made some of my bubbles already, just so I can quickly show you, but it's pretty much the same as doing the berries, but obviously, well, not obviously at all, you might want yours very 3D, but I was gonna make mine flatter. So let me just show you. By doing it flatter, I'm just going to stab into the same place, twirl it round, stab into the same place, twirl it round, stab into the same place, twirl it round, stab into the same place, and then it's flatter than when we did our berries, where I stabbed all the way around the outside. Here I'm sort of stabbing. So if you want to have some, okay, so here's an instance. I'll go around the outside for this one and make that little one a bit more stand off the felt, and another one where I might want it flatter. I can change my mind as I go around, and obviously you can have as few or as many snowflakes falling as you would like. There is absolutely no pattern to this. It's entirely up to you. Just checking, still videoing. Right. Let's do it. Right, let's have another little look. I think that's good to go. Okie dokie, so let's just see. Now, I said earlier that I was hoping that the creases wouldn't show. So, we've pretty much felted over a lot of the creases, and I have a feeling I'm going to be right. Right, let's see where we are here. Now we want that to be at the top. There you go. See? Put that over. I can't see the creases. See, we got away without having an iron. Perfect. Okay, so basically I need to cut off a few of the loose fibres to tidy that up, but apart from that, we're tightening that up, and we need to snip around here and then sew the cotton all the way around to bring it in. Now I am going to snip around, but I'm then going to show you the video of when I snipped and did the stitching around on the rainbow one, because it's exactly the same process of doing the stitching round, so you'll see a slightly different colour felt being used, so don't be distracted by that. And then I will come back with my finished piece and say goodbye. So hopefully you have enjoyed this little felt along. Really, I think of them as felt alongs more than tutorials, because I'm not really telling you what to do. I'm kind of showing you what I'm doing, and then you can either follow my lead or do your own thing. Okay, let's just do a little bit more snipping. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's my cat trying to get in, obviously telling me I'm done. There we go. Right, so that's snipped that. I will show you how to do the stitching around via I will add it in here, the little video, and then I'll come back and show you the completed piece. I know that's not exactly all the way around, but it's close enough, and for this particular project close enough is good. Right, now I'm not actually going to tie off this end of the thread, because what I'm going to do is sew all the way around, and then I'm going to have the two ends, right, moving so you can see me, I'm going to sew all the way around, and then I'm going to have the two ends left and then pull them up together, rather than having one in and you pull against that bit, because I think that makes it go a little bit lopsided, which we don't want to do, and felt will stretch. So I'm going to start at the top where I've got my clasp, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. Right, so I'm just going to start nice big stitches really. Doesn't need to be tiny stitches, I'm going to do nice big ones. There we go, and there's my end, leave that there. Okay, so can you see? I'm going in, coming out, going in, coming out, going in, coming out, and then pulling through. Helps if I let my scissors go out of the way, doesn't it? How many times do I do that? There we go, just showing you. Yeah, nice big stitches. Once again. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Pull that. Lovely. And we're just going to do this all the way around. Okay, just finishing around the last stretch. Now I always go just a little bit beyond the other one. Okay, there we go. We have our two ends, and so because we've just gone a bit beyond, we can really just go boom, pull it like that. Yeah, and then this keeps it nice and neatly in. That's nice. And now I am going to just catch that and then pull that the other way. And tie it up. There we go. Tied that down. So thanks for joining us on this needle felting workshop. I'm really pleased how mine turned out. Hope you're really pleased with how yours turned out too, and we would really love to see pictures of them. So why not come along and join us at the Crafty Kit Company Needle Felting Facebook group, and or Two Ticks Tips and Tutorials on Facebook, and pop them along there, and even joining in any of the other impromptu workshops that we have running. Okay, so really hope you enjoyed it and hope that we see you again soon.